RYU, the original poster boy, the default Shoto, enjoyer of fireballs and dragon punches, and one of two characters in the franchise to be featured in every single Street Fighter title. This character will always be a mainstay, and popular. He's simple in design and in use, but how strong is he compared to the rest of the cast? And no, I don't mean lore-wise. I mean Capcom can't even get the height and weight correct on some of these characters. I'm talking competitively. How well does he perform against the remaining cast in every competitively played Street Fighter? Let's take a look. Here are some quick disclaimers. I will not be going deep on games that were overshadowed by newer, more popular iterations. For example, I don't need to talk much about RYU's performance in Street Fighter Alpha 1, as that game was quickly replaced by 2 and does not have nearly as many competitive results. I will, however, cover his strength over time in games that are largely the same, but with updates, such as Street Fighter 4 up to Arcade Edition. Street Fighter 1. RYU is the only playable character aside from Ken, and Ken has zero differences aside from appearance. Moving on. Street Fighter 2. At launch, this game was a mess. RYU had some nasty downsides due to glitches and by design. For one, he takes double damage if you hit him while he's leaning forward while stunned. And secondly, he's almost the exact same as Ken again, except Ken does not suffer from this glitch, and his back throw will carry the opponent to the corner for better pressure. His Shoryuken doesn't knock down on standing opponents. His Hurricane Kick can be crouched and subsequently punished even after the opponent gets hit. So RYU is broken, a worse version of his near-exact clone Ken, and neither one of them are Guile. The only reason you'd play RYU over Ken is if somebody already chose Ken, since Street Fighter 2 did not allow mirror matches until the next edition. Champion Edition. Big buffs for the poster boy. No more stun glitch, better hurt boxes, faster fireball, dragon punch causing knockdown, Hurricane Kick is invincible on startup and during recovery and can only be punished if you're crouched, which makes it a super powerful tool against projectiles. This is where RYU as we know him shines. You got a strong fireball to anti-air game going on here, and he's different enough from Ken to have a reason to play him. In fact, his all-around playstyle made him a better choice in most cases. Unfortunately, this is the first game the boss characters became playable and Bison is a problem. So is Sagat, and Guile is still ridiculously good. This leaves RYU in a much better position, but still at a decently mid to high tier placement. Hyper Fighting. In this edition, we see a major mechanic change to the game that affects the meta before even getting to the character-specific changes. Because of the increased gameplay speed, new special moves, and balanced boss characters, RYU is one of the best characters in this version of the game. His fireballs become even harder to deal with due to the speed. He can escape the corner with his new air hurricane kick when he's not using it as a combo on tall characters. It's also completely invincible now aside from a whiff versus a crouched player. So with the combination of his improvements in Championship Edition, the nerf to the boss characters, his air special move, and the increased game speed, he's a force to be reckoned with. Guile's still a problem though. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Skipping forward a little bit to the final major iteration of Street Fighter 2 in this era, there would be more to come many years later, but they were not and would not be played as competitively as this version. This is the Street Fighter 2 game you will be seeing played competitively still to this day at major events. And this is the first game where you will begin to see well-documented tier lists that are still being discussed, and tournament results with strong and recognizable players. In this game, RYU remains even truer to his design and is strongest when making good use of his quick fireballs and anti-air uppercuts. He also gains access to his red fireball, which from close range will knock opponents down. Both his Shoryuken and Hurricane Kick can serve as invincible reversals for defense. And he now has access to his super art, Shinku Hadoken, a 5-hit projectile in which RYU becomes fully invincible. You can use this to lock your opponents down or blow through opponents' projectiles if you're smart about it. But how strong is he? Well, he's good. One of the stronger characters for sure. But outclassed by the top handful of characters in the game. Dalsim, Claw, Boxer, and Old Sagat, namely. Yeah, Old Sagat, meaning the pre-super version of Sagat. You can pick older versions of characters in this game with a special button combination at the character select screen. So how is old RYU in comparison? Not any better really. He can't tech throws and doesn't have his super art Shinku Hadouken, but he has a faster jump and a better fireball and dragon punch. It's a pretty fair trade-off that comes down to preference and probably doesn't help him significantly in his harder matchups. As of now, we can start looking at competitive results. As far back as 1996, we see this game was played competitively at Battle by the Bay, a local tournament which we now refer to as EVO. It isn't until 2000, however, that you can see results listed on Wikipedia showing which characters placed in higher tournament. We see Ryu as a character used by all three top players, though not the only character used by said players. From the year 2000 to 2008, Ryu is seen in every top 8 except for the year 2002 at EVO, and only has one victory as a solo pick in 2003 by none other than Daigo Umehara. Ryu is a strong pick, and I'd say it can be called pretty high tier.
Wow, Panda Daigo!
The Street Fighter Alpha series. Street Fighter Alpha 1. There isn't too much information on this game competitively as it was replaced by Alpha 2 not even 2 years later, but from what I can find about this game, Ryu is high tier and only really outclassed by the other two Shotos, Ken and Akuma. He has the exact same normal moves as Akuma in this game except a way worse overhead which leaves him very punishable on hit. Akuma has beefed up versions of Ryu's special moves and then some in comparison. No strong reason to use Ryu over Akuma or Ken. Ryu is a super solid pick in this game with just a few losing matchups to the stronger characters in the game. He's got the simple game plan of using Fireball to zone you out, and his defense is pretty good with his trusty invincible Dragon Punch, his Wake Up Shinku Tatsumaki being completely safe on block, his Alpha Counter Reversal as introduced in the first Alpha game, and the new custom combo system mechanic which can be used as a defensive reaction to basically anything in the game, even the opponent just walking too closely to you, as the first low after activation will be unblockable. There isn't too much information on results for this game, but from all the tournament footage I could find online, Ryu was not at all common at high level. Alex Valle maybe being the only player to use Ryu at high level, and still not using just him. Despite being a solid character all around, he was once again outclassed by a handful of stronger characters, namely Rose, Nash, Sakura, Chun-Li, and of course Ken and Akuma. His toolkit and game plan come up short due to being too basic and common, which you might start to see is going to be a big trend in some future iterations. Ryu is not bad by any means, but just painfully average compared to the rest of the cast.
This is Street Fighter Alpha 3.
This game is similar to Super Turbo in that there are more than one version of each character. 3 in fact, depending on the meter system you chose, or ism. X-ism Ryu will have him function similarly to his Street Fighter 2 iteration. A strong fireball game and damage output, but only one super move and meter. No hop kick, no alpha counter, air blocking, or tech roll, and you'll take slightly more damage. Not ideal for any matchups that can't use his fireball game well. A-ism Ryu is very decent, incredibly similar to his Alpha 2 iteration with the same 3 supers and a safe on block Shinku Tatsumaki. No real downsides aside from just not being V-ism in a game where V-ism is the meta for most characters. V-ism Ryu was arguably the best version. He gets access to more command normals for better guard pressure, and infinite combos when activating his custom combo, which was exclusive to V-ism. But is he top tier? No, not really. He's once again viable yet outclassed. You still see some strong players use Ryu like Daigo, John Choi, and Valle, but he can't be played solo if you're expecting results. Of all I could find on tournament results for Ryu, Alex Valle was the only one I saw who placed with Ryu in 1998, losing second to Daigo's Akuma. That's one more case of solid but outclassed. Second Impact. People caught on to this entry, but still it's not nearly as popular as Third Strike. Ryu is here of course. He got new moves like Donkey Kick and the Denjin Hadouken, this cool crouch medium kick where he sits on the ground that we barely see after Third Strike. Ryu's best super art is his newest one, the Denjin Hadouken, as it cannot be blocked and forces the opponent to parry the move in order to avoid a guaranteed stun. Ryu relies on situations that will set him up to guaranteed contact with this move. It also allows him to have more than one super meter stock so he can reliably use his EX moves. But how does he compare next to this new freaky cast of characters? Well, the same as we can start to expect. Pretty good, but way outclassed by the top tiers. And this time, the Shoto he's obviously worse than is... Sean? Wow, Sean has a bright future. He's okay, once again middle of the road kind of character. Third Strike. Yeah, I've been waiting for this. Ryu is largely the same as he was in Second Impact. He's pretty decent. He hits like a truck, still has his Denshin Hadouken stun setups, and has pretty good normals in neutral. There have been some new additions to the cast, including the addition of...
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, Third Strike has some really strong top tier characters. And Ryu is once again outclassed. And once again by another Shoto. This time Ken is by far the better Shoto. Ryu doesn't have as easy of a time confirming into his most rewarding combo enders. But he does have the ability to score lots of knockdowns. Lots of damage and being able to bully your opponents with Denjin. These are his greatest strengths. Stable characters like Chun and Yun and even Ken dominated the scene for this game for a while. However, Ryu has been seeing some results recently with a player by the name of Bubbles, who won Combo Breaker 2024 with solo Ryu, and took second place to Justin Wong's Chun-Li in 2022, and Beezus' Yun in 2023 at East Coast Throwdown. I told you those characters were menaces. However, in these cases, they were no match for Ryu's damage and stun output. Mid-tier.